45% of what you do today, you didn't actually decide to do. That number comes from a Duke University study on human behavior. Nearly half your daily actions, what you eat, how you spend your mornings, whether you exercise or scroll, are not choices. They are automatic responses running on a program your brain wrote years ago. So here is the real question. Not whether you have discipline, but whether the program running your life was designed on purpose or by accident. And here is something worth saying before we go any further. The fact that you are watching this right now does not mean you are being productive. For a lot of people, watching videos about discipline is itself a form of avoiding discipline. The brain is clever that way. It lets you feel like you are working on yourself while making sure nothing actually changes. So this is not a video you finish and feel good about. This is a video you finish and do one thing differently. One thing. That is the only metric that matters. Part 1. Identity is not a destination. It's a direction. Here is something almost no one tells you about discipline. The people who seem to have it are not running on more energy than you. They are not waking up every morning fired up and ready. Most of them, on most days, feel the same resistance you do. What is different is how they see themselves. Every action you take is a piece of evidence you collect about who you are. When you go for a run on a day you didn't feel like it, you are not just burning calories, you are casting a vote that says, I am the kind of person who does this. When you sit down to read instead of opening your phone, same thing. Another vote. Michael Phelps did not become the most decorated Olympian in history because he loved waking up at 4 a.m. to get in the water. He did it because at some point it stopped being a discipline and started being an identity. Being an athlete was not what he did, it was who he was. This is where real change begins, not in the gym, not in the planner, in the story you tell yourself about yourself. But identity does not appear from nowhere. It is built by systems, and most people's systems are broken by design. Part 2. You don't have a discipline problem, you have a design problem. There is an assumption buried inside every self-help conversation that almost nobody questions. The assumption that if you want something badly enough, you will find a way to do it. That motivation is the engine. It is not. Motivation is a resource. And like all resources, it runs out. Psychologist Roy Baumeister's research showed that the brain treats every decision, large or small, as a drain on mental energy. By evening, even people with extraordinary willpower are making worse choices than they were in the morning. Not because they got weaker, because they got depleted. This is why Barack Obama wore the same style of suit nearly every day as president. Why Mark Zuckerberg built a wardrobe of identical gray t-shirts. This is not eccentricity, it is engineering. Every decision you remove from your day is a unit of mental energy you preserve for what actually matters. The question is not, how do I get more motivated? The question is, how do I reduce the number of decisions standing between me and the behavior I want? That shift, from motivation to design, is where everything changes. Part 3. Your environment is making decisions you think you're making. There is a variable operating in your life right now that you are almost certainly underestimating. It is not your mindset. It is not your morning routine. It is friction. Friction is the invisible force that sits between intention and action. In a study run inside Google's offices, researchers made one simple change. They moved candy from open bowls on desks to opaque containers with lids. No announcements, no willpower campaigns. Candy consumption dropped 23% in 1 week. Nobody changed. The environment changed. Now think about your own life. Where are you placing the things you want to do? Are they visible, accessible, already set up and waiting? Or are they buried behind 3 steps of friction that your brain, at 6 a.m. or after a long day, will simply refuse to cross? The gym bag packed the night before is not a small thing. It is the removal of a decision at the moment your brain is least willing to make one. The book left open on the kitchen table is not a trick. It is architecture. Stop asking why you lack discipline. Start asking, what does my environment make easy? Part 4. How your brain actually builds habits, and the embarrassingly small place to start. Here is what neuroscience tells us that productivity culture rarely explains. Every time you repeat a behavior, your brain wraps a substance called myelin around the neural pathway associated with it. Myelin acts like insulation on a wire. The more of it, the faster and more efficient that circuit becomes. Repetition is not just practice. It is the physical construction of a faster brain. This is why starting small is not settling for less. It is the only way the brain builds permanent change. And when people say start small, they usually do not mean small enough. One pull-up, not a workout. One pull-up. Get to the bar, do one, and leave if you want. The point is not the pull-up. The point is that you went. You voted. You told your brain this is something you do now. Most days, once you are there, you will do more. But even if you do not, the pathway got a little more myelin. The circuit got a little faster. This is habit stacking in its most honest form. After you pour your morning coffee, write one sentence in a journal. Not a page, one sentence. After you brush your teeth at night, read one paragraph of a book, any book. You are not building discipline, you are building a brain that makes discipline automatic. And here is the part most people miss. The embarrassingly small action is not a stepping stone to the real habit. It is the real habit. Because a 2-minute behavior done every day for a month creates a stronger neural pathway than an intense 2-hour effort done 3 times and abandoned. Your brain does not reward ambition. It rewards repetition. This is where it all connects. You are not undisciplined. You are running an undesigned system. Your identity is built one small, repeated action at a time. Your environment is either making those actions easier or harder. Your brain will automate whatever you repeat, which means the only real question is what you want it to automate. But here is the thing about this video, and every video like it. Information does not change behavior. Action does. You can understand everything said here perfectly and leave exactly the same as when you arrived. The brain is very good at that. It will file this under interesting and move on. So before you close this, do one thing. Think of one behavior you have been trying to force through willpower alone. Now identify one piece of friction you could remove today. Not this week, today. Write it in the comments, not because it helps the algorithm, because the act of writing it is the first vote. And the first vote is how every identity is built.